So, in this video, I'm going to talk about the 20 strongest characters from Mushoku Tensei, Jobless Reincarnation. This video is going to contain spoilers from Mushoku Tensei light novel. And I picked up this list from Reddit because I thought this was the most accurate list I found, although I did some changes to this list. Some important characters have their original ranking. Just like the list I found, I'm not going to include some characters in this video. Important characters that I will not include in this list are Human God Hitagami, Perugius Dola, Cowman 1, Demon Dragon King Laplas, Emperor Karishika, Golden Knight Aldebaran, and Old Rudius Gerrit from another timeline. I might have missed some characters, or some of you might have a different opinion about the ranking of these characters. Whatever it is, you guys can share your thoughts in the comments section. So, at number 20, we have Roxy Magurdia. Roxy is a talented mage and a former magic tutor. Because of her lack of telepathy, she left her village due to feeling isolated from her peers. She was unable to make a stable living as an adventurer, so Roxy became a traveling tutor and she eventually became Rudius's teacher. She is extremely intellectual and is always seeking to improve herself. Roxy is a Water King class magician and she can create Fire Saint class scrolls. Next after her at number 19, we have Cliff. When Cliff was 5, Harry Grimoire, a person who held a high position in the Millis religious organization, adopted him. Cliff is a gifted child that became advanced rank in summoning, detoxification, healing, and fire magic at a young age. He is also the biological grandson of the current Pope of Millis. He had a dream of becoming an adventurer, which leads to him meeting with Eris. He is a genius that has even impressed Orsted, who has vast knowledge from all of his time loops, with his capabilities. Cliff is able to tackle problems at different angles. His achievements include suppressing the effects of both Elenalize's and Orsted's curses, helping to forge the magic armor for Rudius, and figuring out the cause of the Superdrace's disease that would have wiped them out. Demon Eye of Identification was granted by Kashirika to Cliff, which gives him knowledge of everything that Kashirika knows. Next at number 18, we have Gizlane. She is a talented swordsman from the Beast race, and she is the daughter of Gustav, the former Darudia village chief. She is the mentor of Eris and the student of Rudius Gerrit in magic and other subjects. She is one of the few people who have become a sword king. At age 10, she first meets Galfarian, who was a wandering swordsman at the time, and he took her under him due to her wild nature and her potential as a swordsman. After becoming a sword saint, she traveled with Paul Gerrit's Fangs of the Black Wolf Party as a warrior. She also has a demon eye hidden under the eye patch on her right eye. And this demon eye allows her to see the flow of mana. Next at number 17, we have Doga. Doga was born in the Donati province of the Asura kingdom. He was a little slow and treated like a henchman by the other kids. His father was a soldier who spent most of his days outside, and his mother died after giving birth to their younger sister. After his mother's death, Doga cried for several days. When he stopped crying, he began training with the goal of protecting his sister. His weapon is an axe that was near his house. One day, a magical beast attacked the village. Doga defended his house, and although his arm ended up broken, he managed to kill the beast. From then on, Doga took it upon himself to work and protect the village. After 10 years, Doga began to work as a soldier, looking for money to take care of his sister, since his father had died during the metastasis incident. During Ariel's coronation, a mysterious man tried to enter the city. The mysterious man, Cowman II, defeated all the soldiers and decided to take Doga as a disciple. Soon after, he was personally recruited by Ariel as one of the 7 Knights of Asura. As a North Emperor, Doga is a very powerful person. It uses a large axe as a weapon instead of a sword and is capable of defeating dragons and monsters in one hit. According to his teacher, his specialty is hunting monsters. Moving on to number 16, we have Eris. Her skill is so great that when she first became Sword King, Galfarian offered her the chance to challenge him to become Sword God. It was an opportunity that was not even given to Gizlane when she first became Sword King. Eris's talent was so greatly recognized by Galfarian that if Eris actually wished to, Galfarian would have allowed her to become Sword Emperor by fighting Gizlane, who was also a Sword King. She also learned North God style. It was taught by Auburn the North Emperor, and Eris reached the rank of North Saint. She also reached beginner level magic after being taught by Rudius. Eris has Phoenix Elegant Dragon Sword, Dragon Emperor made, and gave this sword to the first sword god. It has the ability to nullify or weaken strong opponents such as Orsted. Eris received it from Galfarian, the current sword god, as a gift for being titled Sword King. She also got Yubi Ori. This is a sword made by Yulian Jalisco, one of the 48 demon swords. Rius received it from Orsted and passed it on to Eris. It is worth about 100,000 Asura gold coins. Moving on, at number 15, we have Rujard. Rujard is from a town in the Babanosu region. He was once the leader of the Superds warrior group that served as Laplas's elite force prior to the war 400 years ago. However, Laplas betrayed their loyalty by ordering them to take up the pitch-black devil spears into battle in favor of their birth spears, which caused them to fall into a mesmeric ecstasy state by mindlessly slaughtering those around them, including their own family. After giving his son a fatal wound, Rujard's son manages to destroy the devil's spear and finally wakes Rujard from his trance to realize the truth. In the moment of despair from his actions, Rujard had considered committing suicide to atone for his sins, but he ultimately decided to swear vengeance on Laplas. After several years of hiding and biding his time carefully, he finally got his revenge when he interfered in the decisive battle between Laplas and the three heroes. But even if Laplas was defeated, there was no way to change the things that had already transpired, and the horrible reputation of the Superd tribe had already taken root. After exacting his revenge, he now has a goal of removing the infamy that the Superd race has. Rujard is very strong and can kill A-rank monsters with just one strike. He's described as stronger than Gizlane, and he could block sword god Galfarian's longsword of absolute silence. He has a third eye that acts as a radar, able to locate enemies which are not in sight. He also has his spear. The spear of the Superd will get sharper and harder every time it is used in combat. Rujard has used his spear for at least 400 years, giving off the impression that his spear has sharpened itself to a drastic point and it has become incredibly durable and resilient. Moving on to number 14, we have Auburn. Auburn Corvette is one of the three swords of North God, known as Peacock Sword Auburn. Sword god Galfarian called him to the Holy Land of Sword to help with Eris's training. On their first meeting, Eris battles him and releases an enormous amount of bloodlust that Auburn felt as a chill on his spine and feels that he is facing a beast he needs to kill until they are stopped by Gal. Auburn prefers to ambush his opponent and kill them when their guard is down. He also will not hesitate to retreat when the battle is not going his way. Next, on number 13, we have Isolde Cruel. Isolde Cruel is the granddaughter of the late water god, Rius. Later she becomes the next water god after Rius. Isolde is highly loyal to her family and friends, she defends them and easily becomes hostile to people who mistreat them. Isolde is also very proud of her sword style, looking with contempt at the sword god style users when she entered their territory. She's skilled enough to defeat Eris and Doga with ease and, even more impressively, block and parry the onslaught of the fighting god himself in a masterful and elegant way. Later on, she masters 3 of the 5 water god style secret arts and becomes the water god at a young age. Moving on, at number 12, we have Randolph. Randolph Marianne is the current death god after defeating the previous death god. Randolph was originally Dragon King Kingdom's knight, but he was ordered to escort Pax in his usurp, where he easily overpowered the nation's imperial knights. Then, he served as Pax's personal bodyguard. He was present during Zenoba's return, but had no interest in it. When Zenoba and Rius came back from the front line, he had a fight with them due to being mistaken for an apostle of Hitagami. And their fight came into a tie. He also possesses a demon eye, and it's the demon eye of absolute void. This let him create an impenetrable barrier around a location with minor loopholes. He is trained in the North Sword God style to at least Emperor rank. And he was skilled enough to be a candidate for the North God rank. He also possesses gauntlets created by and purchased from Tallhand, with a mana-absorbing stone planted inside. This allows Randolph to overwhelm magic users, though it is limited use, as the mana-absorbing stones consume as much mana as they cancel out, making them less effective against a magician with large amounts of magic power, such as Rius. Moving on at number 11, we have Manatite Hydra. This Hydra is the guardian of the labyrinth, a 9-head dragon, and his size was roughly 2 times larger than a red dragon. This was a special variation of a Hydra that has green sharp scales that can cut with the most minor contact and can also nullify magic. It can also regenerate himself if one of the heads was cut. Next, at number 10, we have Malta. Malta is the ogre god and the leader of his race that lives on the ogre island. His strength is similar or even more powerful than Zenoba, and he was able to resist his attacks. Malta is a single-horned red ogre with a height of almost 3 meters. He is built similar to a large tree, with a globular bell-like choker on his neck and a tiger-striped rumen on his waist. Now, at number 9, we have a Toph. A Toph is the demon lord on the demon continent. She is a part of the immortal demon clan, and she is said to be the demon lord who grants strength. Rius describes her to be the most demon-like person he has ever met. She has blue skin, white hair, crimson eyes as well as bat wings. And then, on her forehead, she has one large great horn. She will regenerate even after losing her head or being cut into 2. She was taught by the original North god, Kalman I, and she is an incredibly powerful person, and she was the one who taught the second North god. She is on bad terms with Perugius Dola. She was also the wife of the first North god and the mother and teacher of the second North god. The current death god, Randolph, is also one of her descendants. Only 2 people have ever actually defeated her solely and earned her respect. The first one is Kalman I and the second one is Rius. Moving on to number 8, we have Kalman II. His real name Alexei Rybak, he is Kalman I and a Toph's son and also the former North god. He is an extremely strong character and he was taught by a Toph. Originally, his weapon was sword, but he tried a new fighting style using a metal rod as a method of self-discipline. He believes that staying inside the comfort zone will dull a person's skill. He is strong enough to buy time for Rius to call reinforcement by fighting Badagati. He fought against Badagati when he was wearing the fighting god armor. He didn't win, but he was able to survive. He has immortality because of his immortal demon bloodline. Up next, at number 7, we have Rujard. Rujard was the grandmother of Isolde and the late water god. It was revealed that she was one of Hitagami's apostles and she came to save Darius Silvaganius, who is also her first love. She was killed by the dragon god Orsted in one blow. She created a water god style art. Rujard combined 2 of the most difficult secret art of water god style and managed to create this phantom art. The technique allows Rujard to cut from any direction, be it up, down, left, right around her, and even slightest movement is instantly countered with a fatal blow. Moving on, at number 6, we have Galfarian. Galfarian is the sword god, ranked 6th on the 7 great powers, and the teacher of Eris and Gizlane in the sword god style. He trained earnestly and made no compromises to become a sword god. He claims to have become strong using rational methods that he also teaches to his students. He is considered to be the fastest of his generation. Even water god Rita could not withstand his attacks. When he was a sword saint, he challenged Orsted to a battle and naturally lost, but survives with his 4 limbs intact. Deciding to train himself from the scratch, he achieved the title of sword god. On his journey to the Great Forest, Gal meets Gizlane de Doldia, then trains her in the sword god style, where she attains the rank of sword king. As someone possessing god rank, he was considered the strongest in the sword god style until Gino Brits defeated him. He possesses an extremely fast sword arm and was acknowledged by the water god as the only man whose sword she could not stop. His speed is second only to Gino Brits. He knows various techniques of the sword god style and is adept at using them. He also possesses proficiency in the water god style at around the level of a water emperor, and he was able to combine the long sword of light of the sword god style with one of the secret arts of the water god style. He thinks that he would have been able to reach great heights in the water god style if he had continued to pursue. So now moving on, we have Rius on number 5. He is the main protagonist of this series, and Rius is a powerful magician born with a strong Laplace factor, which is one of the reasons for his great magical power, besides his intense training at an early age. As he was reincarnated from another world, he is immune to Orsted's curse. This is a trait that is inherited by his descendants. Other than this, I have briefly explained how strong Rius actually is in another video. So if you guys haven't seen it, I will provide its link in the description. Moving on, at number 4, we have Gino Brits. Gino is the current sword god, husband of Nina Farian, and son of one of the 2 sword emperors. Gino is a sword god-style swordsman of prodigious skill and talent. He is the youngest sword saint in history, and he even surpassed Galfarian in his youth by the former sword god's own admission. He was able to block Galfarian's sword in a direct exchange of blows, something even water god Rujard was unable to do. As sword god, and while fighting simply for Nina's amusement, he proved his superiority over Eris in a single strike to her dominant arm and leg, as well as defeating the one-armed North god Kalman III by landing countless direct and crippling hits on him without being struck back once. Moving on, at number 3, we have Kalman III. Kalman III is the current North god of North god style. As the current and third generation leader of the North god sword style, he is very strong. As a descendant of the Toph, an immortal demon lord, he is also immortal and will recover from wounds that would kill a normal being as well as being long-lived. He possesses the Dragon King sword, it's the strongest sword with the ability to manipulate gravity. He also used the fighting god armor. After obtaining a piece of the golden armor, he equipped it. The golden fighting god armor changes its shape according to its wearer and can regenerate by drawing on the power of the user. Alexander is a determined person. Due to the way he was raised, he is obsessed with becoming a hero and surpassing his father. After his crushing defeat, his personality seems to change. He becomes calmer and very obedient to his superiors in order to learn to be a hero. Moving on, at number 2, we have Badagati. Badagati is a demon that's been alive even before the Laplace War, and he is said to be the demon lord who grants wisdom. He's the fiancé of the great demon emperor Kishirika Kishirisu. Badagati is a very old person dating back to before the Laplace War. This makes him one of the oldest people in this series. In order to protect Kishirika, Badagati was tricked by Hidegami into stealing the golden armor and becoming the fighting god. 4,200 years ago, he became known as the fighting god, the third rank of the 7 major world powers. He fought and split second generation dragon god Laplace into the demon god and technique god. He is also immortal. Once his torso was destroyed by Rius, but it was regenerated almost instantly. Even demon eyes don't work against him due to him taking an unknown drug that he found in an old dragon ruin thanks to Hidegami. So now, on number 1, we have the dragon god Orsted. Orsted is the son of the first dragon god and is the current 100th generation dragon god. He is a member of the dragon tribe, humanoids with powerful abilities. He is considered the strongest of his kind, giving him the title of the 100th dragon god. Orsted is trapped in a time loop by his father, the first dragon god, and needs to kill the human god to escape. He is an expert in using every kind of magic, and he can also use magic without chanting. He can easily kill most of the strongest characters from Mushoku Tensei in one hit. If you guys want to know more about Orsted and other strong characters, then you guys can watch my video on the 7 world powers in Mushoku. So that's all for this video, and thanks for watching.